afternoon, boys and girls. We're going to hear a story about a little monkey and a man in a yellow hat. Do you know who this is? This is Curious George, and he's going to get ready to come to school just like you. And throughout the story, I need you to listen for some answers to some questions. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the questions up front so you can think about them as the story goes through. What are some ways George helped the students at his new school? What color did red and blue make? What color did red and yellow make? What color did yellow and blue make? Sounds like he got into some paint maybe. What problem did George have while he was at school? Can you figure out how he solved the problem? Okay, listen as we read the story of Curious George and the first day of school.
Hi kids, welcome to your Kid Time Story Time with me, your storyteller, and joining me today, that's right, Curious George. Now, some kids get scared about their first day of school, but not Curious George. Let's join you on your first day of school, shall we? Let's read, indeed. I like that can-do spirit. Here we go. This is George. He was a good little monkey and always very curious. Today, George was so excited he could barely eat his breakfast. "You have a big day ahead of you, George," said his friend, the man with the yellow hat. He's so nice, that man with the yellow hat. He does take good care of Curious George. It was a big day for George. It was the first day of school, and he had been invited to be a special helper. Oh, that's nice. George and his friend walked together to the schoolyard. Some of the children were nervous, but George could not wait for the fun to begin. Look at all the kids, and that one looks like he's holding on to his papa's leg. He's a little bit nervous, but look, they have friends. They're saying hello to each other. This lady's walking her dog. Okay. In the classroom, George's friend introduced him to Mr. Apple. "Thank you for inviting George to school today," the man with the yellow hat said to the teacher. Then he waved goodbye. "Have a good day, George. I'll be back to pick you up after school." Now, if you'll notice here, this is Mr. Apple, the teacher, and on the board here it says, "Mr. Apple says, welcome to your first day of school." I wonder what grade this is. Is it kindergarten? Is it first grade? Second grade? Third? I don't know. The children were excited to have a monkey in class. Gosh, I would be too, wouldn't you? "George is going to be our special helper," Mr. Apple told them. And what a helper he was. At story time, hey, Kid Time Story Time, George held the book. At math time, the children could count on George, literally count on his fingers, handy dandy. And at recess, George made sure everyone had a ball, literally and figuratively, and a well-balanced snack. After lunch, Mr. Apple got out paints and brushes. George saw red, yellow, and blue paint. 3 colors were not many. George was curious. Could he help make more colors? Now you know, kid, if you combine colors, you make other colors, but I don't know if George knows how to do this part. I mean, he's doing pretty well so far, but George usually tends to get in trouble, so here we go. First, George mixed red and blue to make purple. That's correct. Next, George mixed red and yellow to make orange. Then, George mixed yellow and blue to make green. Finally, George mixed all the colors to make a big mess. Look at everybody. Oh, Mr. Apple was shocked. The children thought the mess was funny, but Mr. Apple did not. "Oh dear," he said. "We're going to need something to clean this up. Everyone, please sit quietly while I look." George did not mean to make such a mess, and he certainly did not want to sit quietly. Surprise, surprise. He wanted to help. It was his job after all. And George had an idea. In the hallway, George found a closet. In the closet, he found a bucket. In the bucket, he found just what he needed. classroom when he heard somebody yell, "Stop! Stop! What are you doing with my mop?" The janitor ran after George. "Stop! Stop! No running in the halls!" The principal ran after the janitor. But George was going too fast to stop. He grabbed the doorway, swung inside, and splosh! The bucket tipped, the mop dropped, and George slid across the floor. Now the mess, was even bigger. Oh boy, it's gonna be a problem. Okay, Mr. Apple looked surprised. The principal frowned. The janitor shook his head. And George, poor George, he felt terrible. Maybe he was not such a good helper after all. It's too bad he had a really stellar beginning. The children felt terrible too. They did not like to see George looking so sad. They thought he was a great helper. Now they wanted to help him. So the children all lent a hand and some feet. Look at that. They picked up sponges and mops and they're getting on their hands and knees and picking all it up. Oh, that's so nice. It's like teamwork. And before anyone knew it, the mess was gone. "Oh, that little monkey sure is helpful," the janitor said. "It looks like Mr. Apple has a whole class full of helpers," the principal added. At the end of the day, when George's friend arrived to pick him up, there he is, man with the yellow hat, Mr. Apple, the teacher, said, "Thank you for all of your help, George. We hope you will come help us again." The children, yeah, cheered. They hoped George would come again too. George waved goodbye to his new friends. What a great day it had been. He could not wait to come back to school. You spoke. I love school. Did you?
I hope you liked that story. Curious George had a great first day at school, even though he caused a little bit of trouble. Remember those questions we talked about? What are some ways George helped the students? Talk to your grown-up beside you. Talk to your cousin beside you. What did he do? There are several ways he helped him. When he started mixing all that paint, red and blue, tell him what color it made. Red and yellow, yellow and blue. That sounds like fun. Were you listening? What problem did George have? He kind of had a bunch of problems at school, but just one problem caused a whole lot more. How did
Teachers,
George
just
solve
a
his
reminder,
problem?
we are going to have a fire drill as long as the weather holds out
What did he
shortly.
do?
And please remember that this
Talk to
time
your
you're going
grown-up
to
about
where
that.
you would be zoned to go.
See
you're
you
not all
later.
coming to the front.
Bye.
You're going to